The Sven-Olof Bodenfors seminar is to inspire and stimulate business development and branding, new ideas. According to the statutes of the foundation, which was the origin of this seminar, the seminar should take place here at the School of Business, Economics and Law. And we are really proud to be the host of this very inspiring seminar series. The mission of the school is to foster independent thinking for a sustainable world. In practice, this really means to critically explore new trends in society and turn them into new opportunities with social, economic, and environmental sustainability in mind. Already from the beginning of this seminar series, an important topic has been artificial intelligence and its impact on society. Artificial intelligence is indeed an important topic which really challenges all aspects of our lives. We are only beginning to understand what it means and how it can be used. One of the key questions is how we can make use of the new technology without disrupting the social and economic sustainability. Mindful of these challenges, this seminar is really focusing on the opportunities. The seminar today, the topic is artificial intelligence and marketing. We have learned from the economics people in our department, in our school, that markets are far from perfect. We learn from the legal sciences how markets should be regulated. And we learn from the business studies that marketing is not only about selling products. It's about experiences, it's about ideas, it's about feelings. Marketing has really become part of everyday life of people. Perhaps marketing is part of what it means to be human. Intelligent marketing is to understand people. But what is marketing with artificial intelligence? Can artificial intelligence make markets more intelligent? So welcome, let's get inspired, and I leave the word to Emma Björner, who's the host of the rest of the seminar. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Ola Bergström, Professor in Business Administration and the Vice Dean here at the School of Business, Economics and Law. And a warm welcome to this 5th Sven-Olof Bodenfors seminar, this year about AI and marketing. We are delighted to have so many participants with us here in the room and also online attending this seminar today. I would like to extend a special welcome to Sven-Olof Bodenfors, who is here with us in the audience today. And this annual seminar series was initiated as a celebration of Sven-Olof's 70th birthday. And behind this seminar is a foundation founded by Mannheimer Swartling law firm, Wingård Architects, Forsman and Bodenfors, and Lindberg Glavo AB. The School of Business, Economics and Law is also very much a strong supporter of this seminar and event. My name is Emma Björner. I'm a researcher in marketing here at the school, and I will also moderate the session here today. Today we will deep dive into artificial intelligence and marketing. We know that AI is causing vast changes and is influencing marketing in many different ways. We have a fantastic program here today with great speakers that will share different perspectives on AI and marketing. We have Mirja Wester, CEO from Göteborg Film Festival. We have Anders Bengtsson, founder and chairman of Proto Brand. We have Uday Mashala, head of design from Humblebee. And we have Anders Thulman, co-founder of startup in AI space and senior advisor to EY. So we will get 4 inspirational and thought-provoking presentations today, and this will be followed by an interactive panel discussion. Both you that are here today and also you that attend online will be able to raise questions to the speakers via Menti. You can go into menti.com and enter the code 43465738. Okay, so I forgot to change the slides. My bad. Here we see the speakers. Apologies, I thought someone else handled that. And here we see the Menti code. And the Menti code is also written on the board in the corners here. My colleague, Johan Hagberg, professor in marketing, he will monitor the questions and comments that are raised on Menti, and we will raise them in the panel discussion towards the end of the seminar. We cannot guarantee to answer them all, but we will do our best, so at least bring up some of your questions. Today's seminar is being recorded, and this recording will be published on the website of the school in a few days from now. After this seminar, we invite you all to continue the discussion and have coffee with us outside the seminar room here. If something were to happen during the seminar, we have 2 emergency exits, one over here and one over here. So, with that said, I would now like to welcome the first speaker to the stage, Mirja Wester. Mirja has been the CEO of Göteborgs Film Festival since 2016. She has an educational background in film production and business administration and was once a student here at the school, as well as Valand Academy, also at the University of Gothenburg. Mirja's presentation is titled AI Rewriting Film Production and Promotion, ? She will share with us how artificial intelligence has afforded Göteborg Film Festival the opportunity to host the world premiere of an entirely new film by Ingmar Bergman, Another Persona. Mirja will also share some insights from an experiment with an AI-driven marketing department, comparing its sales performance against that of a human team with the same budget and data. So a warm welcome to Mirja.
Thank you. We'll see if this is on. Yes, it sounds like that. So thank you very much for having me. As Emma said, my name is Mirja Wester. I am the CEO of Göteborg Film Festival. And I expect all of you are familiar with the festival, but if not, I will just briefly say it's a film festival that it's annually in January here in Gothenburg. This year we had a 47th edition, and it's one of the largest film festivals in Europe with 270,000 admissions. So it's a really huge audience festival, also looking at the population of Gothenburg. And we screen about 240 films from over 80 countries. Yes, and I'm here, as Emma said, to give you, if we have the time, 2 short case presentations about how we used AI and in our marketing and communication at this year's festival. And also hopefully give you some insights in how AI will affect film production or film promotion in the future. So as a film festival or as a cultural organization and a non-profit organization as we are, there is limited budgeting to put into marketing. So you have to be creative, and it's a hustle to both reach the existing audience, the potential audience, and to create awareness both in Sweden and internationally. And you do this by trying to be smart. And there we looked into AI. Can AI help us in this in some way? And how can a festival in Gothenburg compete? You know, as I stand here, half of my team, the colleagues, are in Cannes because the film festival in Cannes is being held now. So can we compete with the red carpet, big stars, and the Riviera in Gothenburg in January? Perhaps not, but we can try to be smarter. We can try to create discussions and try to put films in a context, and that is what we have been trying to do here in Gothenburg. So annually we have a focus in our festival. When we chose not to only have, you know, many festivals have this, but then they focus on a country or it's very good films from Italy this year. Let's have a focus on Italy. We try to have a focus that is connected to the society of today, questions that people are affected about, afraid about, or thinking about, and that will change our way of living. So, and that also affects the film, the art form of film. So this year, it was not difficult to choose a subject, you could say. So this year's focus was artificial intelligence. So the focus, of course, then was AI, or another intelligence, as we called it. And the focus resulted in a film section with films in some way related to AI in their production or about the topic of AI. It also resulted in a seminar program and in a communication and artistic experiment, where we try to stand out, try to create awareness, discussion, debate about AI and film. And this experiment was, as Emma said, called Another Persona. So I should start with look at a clip, how we presented this experiment to the world. So this was as I said, an artistic experiment with AI, where we wanted to explore how AI would affect acting, film history, and what acting would be in the future, and how we could use the film history with this new technology and to make it relevant again. So this was our partners in this project. So to do this, what we did was we took the Ingmar Bergman, the big, internationally Ingmar Bergman is the same as Swedish film history. So we took this Ingmar Bergman and tried to convince the estates of Ingmar Bergman, who are in charge of his legacy or all his works, and to convince them to give us the rights to his film Persona, who was done in 1966. And to get us to AI manipulate it by replacing the lead actress, Liv Ullmann, with another actor, Alma Pöysti, and to see what would happen. Who would be acting? What would happen to the art? Would it be good? Would it be bad? Is AI a threat to acting? Or what is authenticity? Who is acting and not? So this was some of the questions we tried to discuss in this focus. Can anyone be an actor in the age of AI? Who's doing the acting when one face is replaced by another? Will technology enable more efficient workflows and better films, or will it destroy the soul of acting? When we started doing this, one of the toughest things was to get Liv Ullmann to sign in on it. She hates technology, we found out. But this is actually 1 year ago at the film festival in Cannes, when our artistic director met her at the party, pitched this idea really briefly, and she gave a thumbs up. Or really, it's him giving the thumbs up, and we hope that it meant that she did that as well. So I don't know how legal this is, but this is what the confirmation. And this is the new actress, Alma Pöysti. So we went to Helsinki to shoot her for 4 hours, and then we put the material from the Persona from 1966 in a computer at Lindholmen's, and the face the face of Alma Pöysti, and it worked for months there to try to replicate the computer to know, to learn the material from the film, and to get to know Alma Pöysti's face and to replace Liv Ullmann with Alma Pöysti. Okay, good idea. We want to create debate. What happened then? There started a strike in Hollywood last summer about these issues. Was it a perfect timing? Well, everyone was discussing what will happen to actors. They were on strike. Perfect timing. We released it in September, the idea to do this. We got a lot of great, I would say, feedback from the media. Some called it provoking, but also interesting. We wanted to create a debate. This was the questions. How did people react? Well, hell no. None of us. AI will destroy the world. That was most what the reactions were from these filmmakers on strike in Hollywood. So our social media accounts, you could say, looked like this. A very, very poor timing, to say the least. Göteborgs Film Festival, shut up. There is more art in a pack of beef jerky than whatever this is. So we really hit a nerve, you could say. And it was kind of a turbulent time to feel that you have erased your whole industry. But we went on with the project, and one of the key ingredients in this was that this film should be premiered at the film festival in Gothenburg and to be screened only once. So there was a one-time opportunity to see it, and you had to come here to watch the film. We did that. This was the result. We called the film Another Persona. It had articles in newspaper from 95 countries. It had 1.1 billion in media reach, 182 articles. We had one exclusive screening for 500 people in Gothenburg. And it was, of course, a big collaboration which made this possible. Here is a case film in a couple of minutes that apologized the AI reklambyrå take on it, but it's a way to see the result of the
Man
project.
versus machine is an age-old Hollywood trope. In 2023, it became a reality.
One of the big issues revolves around artificial intelligence.
Among other things, SAG-AFTRA, the largest actors union in the country, is demanding protections from artificial intelligence.
The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI.
If acting is dying, what does that mean for cinema? To gather industry leaders and cinema lovers for a vital discussion, the Göteborgs Film Festival created something that was impossible for them to ignore. An AI-manipulated version of Swedish cinema's most sacred work, Ingmar Bergman's Persona from 1966.
På Göteborgs filmfestival var det häromkvällen världspremiär för första och sista gången för Another Persona.
Där man med AI-teknik ersatt Liv Ullmann i rollen som Elisabeth Fågler med skådespelaren Alma Pöysti.
Du matade AI för att det skulle träna sig på dig.
Jag matar monster och nu har monstret tuggat på mitt ansikte i 4 månader och nu får vi snart se vad det har ställt till med.
Despite only being screened once at the festival, the film sparked debate, leading to an all-time high festival engagement. Reaching 1.1 billion people in 95 countries, making the regional Gothenburg Film Festival talked about all over the world. But did the machines match Ingmar Bergman's brilliance?
Man kan inte bara sudda bort henne från detta konstverk. Så det var ju skönt att se att det har maskinerna inte lyckats med.
Tack så jättemycket.
Tack.
Kul för dem i salongen som fick se hur det såg ut. Lite snopet för oss andra.
So you can say that I receive emails every week from different festivals and event organizations from all over the world that wants to screen this film. And we have to say no to that, because that was the big deal for the actors and for the Bergman Foundation, that this film will never be screened again. But it is in SF Studios archive, so you don't know what will happen in the future. if it will be screened again. But what was the result then? Not the result for us regarding communication and publicity, but could AI replace acting? Not yet was the answer. We could say that this was not Liv Ullmann acting, it was not Alma Pöysti acting, it was something else, perhaps the machine. Now I have a couple of minutes, and I will get into, we can perhaps talk more about this in the discussion afterwards, but how we also used AI in our marketing department at the festivals. So here you see three ads, something that you see every day when you scroll your social media. And this is often how it looks during the festival when we do different ads for different films in the artificial intelligent marketing department to work alongside or against, you could say, our human intelligent marketing department. I gave them both 250,000 Swedish crowns each. They had 3 weeks to work. In one team, there was machine learning, natural language processing, recommendation system, A/B testing, image recognition, and an IT department. In the other corner was a marketing team with AD, copy, content manager, and the mission was to see who could gain most revenue. This was not popular, I would say, from the marketing department at the festival. They did not like this idea. Everyone else loved it. They were not so happy. This is just a short slide about the result. We could see that the AI tool, it helped us to create a totally new strategy. That when we put in all the data from our former visitors, all the film program, all the different films and the ticket sales from the first weekend, it created an adjusted popularity score strategy where it based on sales momentum, relation to free capacity in the cinemas, and how many days it was left before the film should be screened. And by doing that, it created a list of which films we should select to promote, which would gain the best effect. And then it created ads and campaigns for 49 different movies on this list for Facebook and Instagram in all kinds of formats. The result was lower cost per purchase for the AI team. It created 5,300 purchases generated directly from those ads. It created the same cost per purchase for our online pass ads that were not title ads, but more broad festival ads with the same purchase. So I would say this is the last slide. The plus for using this was the volume. The AI could create so much more volume in relation to ads and create multiple ads for every different screening, every different film that we had in the program that the human could never do. The negative was tonality. AI is completely crazy when it comes to tonality, and it can hurt your brand tremendously. It loves emojis and different really tacky things. So you really need to consider how much will you give up for the AI to do. So that was the last slide. We can talk more about this.
Yes, thank you so much, Mirja Wester. So you mentioned here 2 very interesting cases. What would you say are the main lessons, key lessons learned from these cases? They're different, of course.
Yeah.
So
they're different. So we will never do I think we will never do an AI stunt like a film production again. Of course, it was lovely to have to say that you could have an Ingmar Bergman premiere so many years after his death, and that is something that you can only have because you have this new technology. But for us as a small cultural organization, I would say how we can use AI in automatization and to replace the limited time we have to reach our audience. That I think that will create totally new. We will the things we learned this year regarding tactics and strategy and data analysis of our sales. We will definitely use it, continue to use it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And if you look to the future going forward, what are the things that you take from this that you will bring in with you going ahead? Do you think you will use AI in your organization?
Yeah, but we try to, I try to really this year, since we have had AI as a theme for the whole organization. We have really been trying to implement AI in different ways. This was really concrete things to do. We did other things as well. We created a live film poster that could talk, to interact to the audience and get them to do like film tips and stuff like that too. But it's of course it didn't work this year. But if we had done it now, with the technology has like only for 2 months it has exploded, so now it would work. I think we will have a completely other way of getting the people to get help to choose films with the help of AI, as targeting and selection. But and also, you know, someone to bounce someone. You know, I asked something to bounce strategy and data analysis with.
Yeah.
So that's
And you mentioned that it caused some stress in the team, especially the marketing team. Then could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, but they were of course challenged because it's what will happen to them. How can they use it? They try to and. It was perhaps not the best thing for me to do, to put it in like the IT department that had control over this. But I think that we learned a lot, and it's also a support for them now to not to have help with it to do that. We can do the market. You can use the marketing department with the smart things, and you can put AI to do the. The not so.
Right. Do you think it also was a way to boost their knowledge on AI?
Yeah, I think so, and but also to get them to reflect on their own work. So even though if they will never want to use AI, it had to make them reflect on why are they important, what is their key value, and what can they do differently than the machine. So I think we will both use AI, but we will also, you know, see they had to fight for their for their unique what they put to the table.
Exactly. Yeah. Excellent. So please raise your own questions to Mirja, and then we will come back to more questions in the panel discussion towards the end. Thank you so much again for a very nice presentation. Thank you. Right, so we're moving on. I would like to now welcome our next speaker to the stage, which is Anders Bengtsson. Anders is a market research innovator and entrepreneur. He holds a PhD in marketing and is an expert in consumer culture and branding. As a founder of Proto Brand, he is leading the way in transforming how the market research industry is developing insight. Anders' presentation is titled Better Market Research and Consumer Insight with AI. In his presentation, Anders will illustrate how large language models enhance both data collection and analysis and contribute to the development of meaningful consumer insights. According to Anders, AI presents an opportunity to humanize data collection and to develop insights that are better grounded in people's lived experience. So a warm welcome to Anders.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and nice to be here and breathe the very fresh air here in Gothenburg, not to mention where I came from. So I work in market research, and Protobrand is a technology-based market research consultancy. We develop insights for clients, for consumer brands, for business-to-business brands, to help them grow with product innovation and brand development. When we look at market research, so what that essentially is, and that's why I'm taking a step back here, is that recognizing that market research is essentially human communication. And so the question is, how do we communicate? Historically, or at least this is what AI thinks, when we ask DALL-E how we communicate historically with smoke signals, these are the Vikings and how we supposedly communicated in the past. We don't know exactly if this is what it looked like. But so market research has come a long way since smoke signals. So what it tends to be in market research, when we work with clients, they tend to think of their research products as either qualitative or quantitative, and so they reach out to vendors accordingly. In academia, researchers are oftentimes defining themselves very much by the methodology that they use for their dissertation, saying, I'm writing a qualitative dissertation, or I'm a quantitative, etc. Now, with AI, This distinction no longer holds true. It's breaking down, and the boundaries between qualitative and quantitative is entirely blurred, because AI actually now gives us the opportunity to collect qualitative data in such volumes that they become quantitative, without losing sight of what the data means, because we now have the tools to analyze qualitative data at scale. That's the big game changer in how we're going to look at data and how we already are looking at data. So if we look historically, qualitative research, why did we do it? Well, focus group is sort of in the marketing setting. A lot of companies do them because you get rich contextual understanding of what people say, their stories, but they're not very scalable. You run a few of them, and then you sort of run out of gas because you don't have time, or you can't deal with all the data, or couldn't deal with all the data because there was too much text data, too much qualitative data to analyze. And then if we wanted more contextual understanding, we might go into people's homes, but then it's one at a time, so even more sort of not scalable at all, expensive and time-consuming. So these are great for exploratory study, but it doesn't really validate things. So then what do companies do, and what do we do in academia? Well, we go to a survey. All right, so everyone probably recognizes this. This is a survey. It's a 5-point Likert scale. Rensis Likert developed this scale in 1932, and we're still using the damn scale, even though we have much better ways of figuring out what people think and feel. We use this scale to the point that probably, if you look at where market research spend is today, and you all participate in customer experience surveys, you get this. It's in one kind of scale. It's a Net Promoter Score scale or some kind of 5-point Likert scale. It's not a very good way of communicating. This is communication, just like the smoke signals were communication. Now, AI will replace this, because this, the Likert scale survived when surveys moved from paper to phone. It was still the Likert scale. I wrote my first survey in 5th grade using a typewriter, and that was paper and pencil, typewriter. Then it moved to phone, and then we moved this thing online. With AI now, we're still doing this, but it's going to disappear. So one day we will say the Likert scale and the surveys are going to be completely gone because AI is changing this. So why is it changing, and how is it changing? Well, the way that it's changing is that what if we could use technology to capture the stories that consumers have? Because remember, the Likert scale is very much a marketer imposed worldview where we sort of feed statements and words to consumers. But what if those are not the right questions? So what if we could hear the questions and hear the stories from consumers and get it from a quantitative sample? Gathering qualitative data online has been a challenge, and that's why AI can really help us do that, to help us gather the authentic voice of the consumer and hear their lived experience, and rather than sort of responding to these predetermined questions. And what if we could identify then themes and quantify them from the data set in these consumer stories from hundreds of thousands of people? Historically, we were sitting with 10 or 15 people, and we were looking at it to get sort of the golden pieces out of the data and say, here, I got an idea. Now we have this vast amount of data where AI can actually help us, help the humans do this. I'm not here to say that AI replaces the humans, but it replaces a lot of the tedious work that you can do, that AI can help us do and understand the data. So AI helps us then to combine both the exploration and validation in a single study, and it can help us understand the why behind the what. That's the promise of AI, what it can do and what it can already do. So I'm going to give, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you a case study, what we've done at Protobrand, where we used AI to collect data, analyze it, and then quantify the results. So what we do is that we collect stories from hundreds or thousands of people. We do that online. We then use text analytics with AI that helps the analysts to quickly analyze the data set so they can go further and faster than they can do alone if they didn't have the tools available to analyze the data. And then we can report this in a quantitative way in the end. So this distinction here between qualitative and quantitative no longer holds true, because the most quantitative research should have elements of qualitative data behind. Because imagine that you go from a quantitative observation and you actually start to look at the underlying data, understand the context in which that exists. So we're going to look at there's a slide missing here. Oh, that's because it was added later. No worries. We're going to look at a case study here that we did at Protoben. This was about humans and planet Earth. Because we have some things to fix. AI can help us fix many things, but we also have some climate change issues that we need to fix. So we thought, what about if we better understand how humans view their relationship with the planet? So we did a study. Sorry about that. We'll go back. We did a study with 600 consumers in the US. And we simply asked them, to think about humans and planet Earth, the positions that humans occupy, and their relationship with the planet. So simply, what are your thoughts and feelings about humans and planet Earth? So note here, we didn't ask them about sustainability. We just asked them, what's your relationship with the planet? For this study, we used a technique that uses visual metaphor elicitation. It's a visual technique where before the respondent answers a question, they select a visual metaphor. Now you may wonder, why do we do that? Well, human communication is also visual. It's not entirely verbal. You use your eyes, you take in impressions, and if you're familiar with System 1, System 2, Daniel Kahneman, you will recognize that the visual communication happens below our consciousness. We take in visual stimuli. We're not necessarily aware of everything what's going on in our minds when we communicate visually. So selecting a visual metaphor and this metaphorical understanding of our relationship with the planet then helps the respondent to verbalize how they think and feel about their relationship with the planet. As you can see here, this is an interaction here back and forth. AI is helping to probe further on the conversation here to make it more conversational. And as AI is getting better and better, last week, ChatGPT 4.0 was released, and all of this is happening more and more real time, getting to the point where this gets really into human conversations. So this is to gather rich stories at scale from many consumers. And what marketers really want to understand is, well, what happens then with different audiences here? Because that's typically, from a marketing perspective, interesting to know, well, what happens when we break down the results between different groups of consumers, whether it's gender, age, ethnicity, geographies, and so forth. So in this study, we identified 4 salient groups. Each consumer participating in this study got into one of these 4 groups here. AI helped us to analyze the data so that we could see which one they fall into. So we have the reckless destroyer, the symbiotic transactor, the responsible guardian, and the nature tranquilizer. The images here, as you see, they are developed based on the data we have, but then generated with ChatGPT and DALL-E. So a way to illustrate and visualize the results in a fast way, to not just show things with numbers, but also visualize what's going on. So if you look at the first group here, reckless destroyer, which is about a quarter of the sample. Each of these groups is about equally large, which is interesting. It's about, with these 600 respondents in the US, they fall about 25% in each one. The reckless destroyer, these individuals who really look at the world through a very dire lens. They see that humans bring death and destruction and leaves nothing, spares nothing, not even humanity itself. Maybe it's hard for you to read, the print is small here, but if you see these are verbatims from the respondents here, examples of that. If you look at the image with the volcano here, the respondent says, this picture represents people doing their best to destroy the earth. People do not want to do their part to protect the world, with no regard to the innocents among us, the children and animals that the children and the animals that used to protecting, too many people do not care, but they are leaving for future generations. So really a very dire way of looking at the world. You see the volcano here, the lightning, the house that is on fire, and then the broken down cars. We took those and the interpretation of the reckless destroyer and put that to generative AI to visualize this, to bring an understanding what it means for people who subscribe to this worldview. The second group here in this study we call the symbiotic transactor. This is a group that sees their sort of human interdependence with the planet. The sort of God sent us here to this planet, and we are here to sort of serve the planet. The planet serves us, but we also serve the planet. So it's a symbiotic relationship. They see that the planet was really created for humans. So there's a lot of religion in this particular one, where you can see reflecting the American society and so forth. So it's nothing strange with it. It's just what it is, to see how they view their world view of of the planet that we actually make the planet a bit better as humans. Here you see the symbiotic transactor visualized here as sort of a perhaps a false consciousness or falsehood in terms of how we are good to the planet. We have the third group being the responsible guardian. As you can see here, people, they are sort of the opposite of the reckless destroyer. They see the positivity that, okay, we can do more. We can recycle. We can do our part. We can protect the planet. Just like the knight here, the person says, you know, I see humans as knights that should be protecting the planet Earth. We should be part of the kingdom, but also be the main defense line, defender of the realm. We should make sure that we back on our actions that harm Earth and other animals that we share it with. So there's very much codependent thing where we are sort of equal with animals. And here you got the visualization of these responsible guardians that are, you know, coexisting with a polar bear in the pond and kayaking and recycling and using windmills at the same time. DALL-E is just fantastic. When we feed, remember now that these are images created or selected by humans, but we feed them into generative AI to help us bring visualizations from distant interpretations. The last part is the nature tranquilizer. This group just loves nature. They don't see any issues or any at all. They just love nature. They sort of look the other way. Remember now, we didn't ask about sustainability. We just asked what is the relationship with planet Earth. And they look at the nature and say, oh, it's beautiful. I just take it all in. And I just love it. I'm just lying here, and it's fantastic. The last one says, make me feel free and relaxed like therapy that lifts my soul, and see that there's a great creator that created this for all us humans. So here you go. The nature tranquilizer is lying there while the world is on fire. The rest is just like you take it all in, and it's just fantastic. So in summary then, what does this mean if we are marketers? Well, recognizing that there are four very fundamentally different ways of how people see their relationship with the planet, we can reach them very differently. If we agree that we need to get to more sustainable consumption practices, consume less, protect the planet more, there are different ways that we reach these different groups, different ways of motivating them. So it's not so much to say that, oh, we need to change the symbiotic transactor. That's not going to happen. We're not going to be able to change their worldview, but we can change how they see, if God sent them here, as they believe, how can we then make sure that they behave in a different way that doesn't destroy the planet in the process? So lots of ways of thinking about how you take this to the next step in terms of marketing strategies and communication. We know there's a big say-do gap in everything we do. People say we love to consume sustainably, but when it comes to what we actually do at the shelf in the grocery store or what we buy, then we do something different. So this is what the beginnings that you can start to look at something like that. I have 1 minute left, and I'm actually done. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anders, for a very nice presentation. I would like to also talk a little bit about challenges and sort of downsides. And I think this is something that we will come back to also in the panel discussion and talking about ethics and so on with regards to AI and marketing. What would you say are the challenges or downsides in using AI market research? For example, how does it impact data collection and insight development?
I think that AI, as with all technology, there are biases built into this, and especially with AI. AI now goes to great lengths to try to be inclusive. If you notice the images that I asked AI to create an image of a focus group, and if you notice the number of different ethnicities and genders and age group, it was so inclusive in a way from one perspective. So it tries to almost sometimes it goes overboard, and so we have to, as humans, there's still people in the mix. We have to look at that with the critical lens. It's perhaps more important than ever that we don't just take for granted what comes out of it. That we say, well, what does this mean? What's missing, or how could it be looking? And so, because while it hit on all the diversity sort of marks, it didn't necessarily hit on how actually, if that was a focus group from the US, it wouldn't look like that. It was very much an idealized version, and I then actually prompted AI to create less idealized version of that and say, like, this doesn't show people of this kind of sort and that. So we have to be really critical when we interpret things in terms of what AI gives us as results.
Great. And then you touch upon biases and so on. And what do you think we can do to avoid biases in AI going forward?
Well, AI is now trained to be sort of not to offend anyone, right? There's all these things that you have to be sort of politically correct in everything. But I think the best way of looking at the biases is to understand how we see the world and make sure that you interpret it. Because I think the biggest risk is that we just take AI as the answer and say, this is how the world is. Nothing is as it is. It's always a way of promoting something or presenting something. And I thought before, when there were all these negative comments about AI to the film creation, and I thought, well, what if AI actually starts to defend itself? Maybe AI doesn't want this reputation to go bad, right? So they would start interacting and post things that this is actually very good. You know, like we're not there at that point yet, but we know how, you know, if this becomes, you know, when it becomes sentient and AI starts to protect its own reputation. So we have to be sort of careful about like who's the voice, you know, and this goes a lot in my industry and market research. We talk about who is the respondent, who is the person who actually responds to the surveys. So far, it's been people. There's lots of fraud in market research where you have sort of survey farm takers in different parts of the world who are just paid to take, you know, it's fraudulent. But now we have also synthetic responses, not real responses. So that kind of thing that we have to always take a look at, what's the data source and who is telling that to make sure that it's not just some AI or some anonymous AI that goes in and starts to have opinions on things.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anders, again. And let's get back to these questions in the panel discussion. So next, I would like to welcome our next speaker to the stage, Uday Mashala. Uday is Director of Design at Humblebee. He has over 2 decades of experience in the tech and design industries. His innovative approach combines creativity with scientific precision, focusing on leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance design and experiences. Uday's presentation is titled The Future of Brands in the Age of AI. Yeah, let's move to the next slide. Perfect. In a thought-provoking talk, we'll embark on a journey through the rapidly advancing landscape of AI and explore the new possibilities it presents.
Hopefully.
Yes, no pressure. Through a series of inspirational examples, we'll witness how AI is empowering brands to understand their customers like never before. So the floor is yours today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you hear me? Perfect. So, let's start. So why are we here today? Of course, AI. That's an interesting topic. I'll just give you a brief history of when I ran into AI and how I did that. I contacted the founder of OpenAI, Greg Brockman, 2019, December, during Christmas, and asked if I could get access to play in their sandbox and play with it. And he responded, why do you need it? Then I told him, I want to use it for my research perspective, see how that will impact me in my industry. And he gave me access. And from that day, I was amazed. That the impact I got the first 2 minutes, it was like, where are we heading? What is it I'm looking at? It was so amazing. And that was ChatGPT 2. So before, way back. When I worked with it, I realized this is something new. This is not a tool anymore. This is really an intelligent we are working with. It's not a tool. We shouldn't see it as a tool. It's a new way. It's the first time in our human history we are building intelligence. That's for me, it's mind-blowing. So when I look at AI, I see it in a new perspective, and this is how I see it. Super Mario, everyone knows about Super Mario? The power-ups in that character, for me, that's AI. That's intelligence, that's superpower. It will not replace us, but it will augment a new level of humanity. And it's so amazing that for a few bucks a month, you get intelligence with you. And everything we are seeing today, that's the first iteration, the first wave. And it will change, I promise you. And the impact is going so fast, like weeks by weeks, it's improving. And the competition is high. And I think everyone has been looking like this lately, like amazed every week, you read in the media and so on. But I'm like this every day. I'm reading, I see data, I see the improving level, I see the competition, and this will be commodity. The price point will come down. The compute power will increase, and it will be free. Imagine free intelligence for everyone. And that's amazing. Never before. Everyone, I think we have been using tools. Now we get intelligence, and we pay for it maybe or not. So despite what's happening in the market, the negative perspective, that's normal when you go through innovation, transformation, and evolution. That's normal. I think it's good that there is discussion regarding data, policy, and so on. But I think that's just a noise. It will be removed. And to understand regarding AI, I try to map it out. I think there are different maturity level in AI. Just to understand that from my perspective, how I see it, it's like there are 5 levels of maturity level in AI. Most people are in the 1 and 3. And that's when you use it as you used intelligence before, like tools. You edit text, you write new text, you generate image. That's not the purpose of those engines. I think when you see the huge impact, economic level, on the benefits, on your business, on your brand, it's when you move to 4 and 5. That's equal when self-driving cars, remove the steering wheels, it drives by its own. That's level 5. It's hyper-personalized. It's real-time customized for the customers, the brand. It's adapted to the environment. First time in our history, we can do things one-to-one. Before, everything we have done until today has been one-to-many in marketing, in branding. Try to group them in groups, but now with that price point going almost now to 0, you can build a custom model for one customer. You can do that during the weekend. But the price is still quite high, but I think the compute power will be removed, and that will be almost 0. I think everyone will have their a model of you, and the brand will know everything about you, and the relationship will be increased. That's what I believe. So I think try to move, explore more what 4 and 5 mean for your brand, and use it as your, let's say, future marketing and targeting customers and so on. We have been working with that level 5 at least lately. So I will show you some example, quite interesting example. We have been asked to redefine the fitness industry through AI. How can we tailor the brand experience, increase it to something different? Maybe lots of you have been using fitness apps, trying SATs or something else, and you feel everything is not personalized. They maybe know when you book passes or take lesson. Maybe you have a personal trainer. It's not so personal. It's just a trainer you pay for. What if we could change that and make it really hyper-personalized, one-to-one? And that's possible with today's technology. And this is like 1 year old almost. But you can do that, and the price point is going almost to 0. And that will be a commodity for everyone. What we used, everyone talks about data. Data is one source, but data need to be structured, need to be refined. You need to really understand each customer's goal, needs, and so on. And on that, you build your product and services on brand and launch it to the market. So we use lots of data. We understand the customer experience, what they realize, their goal. For example, they want to run a marathon. Okay, that's interesting. How do we build a model that is expert in how you train for marathon and provide that for the customer? You can do that today. It's super easy. It's not hard at all. So we build a service, how to replace the whole training concept. The first one, everyone will get a personal coach that knows you, your language, your persona, your preference of tonality. Let's say you're an English speaker and you like lots of English crime. You have that interest of tonality, or your Spanish talker or language barrier is almost zero. So we can build that coach for you, synthetic coach, and that will be in your pocket with you and help you on your goal. You can ask it everything, and it would make a program specific for you, and so on. The coach is also real-time support, real-time, like instant. You ask something, it comes back to you with an answer and give you a suggestion. Nothing is pre-programmed. That's why I mean everything is made on fly, like real-time. So you can ask something, it will provide it to you. No more content creation. That's the beauty of AI. You need to train the model, and that will be the foundation. It can adapt your training plan if you want to change something you need to maybe work from home or so on. It's also, this is my colleague, you can also use your camera to track your movement and give improvement with the mobile phone. That was impossible before. You needed the computer power of a big building. Now you can do that with the phone. You can tailor custom-made podcast, news, something to help you, motivate you. You can do that also on fly. For instance, nutrition is quite important when training. If we know how you trained, your progress, or your, let's say, you missed your pass or you need to recover from something, we can use those data points and generate a new recipe for you to help you improve your. Everything is based on your data and what we know, what we train the model on. Here's an example to show you what we're talking about price point. If a human, this is just an example, will do that today, it will take approximately 5 hours to take a photograph, write recipe, understand the customer, the data, everything. With the AI, with those models we are using, it's almost zero. It's no cost. And that's what we call intelligence as a service in brand. And I think that is already happening. It's not about using the big models you've been reading in the press. We are using the big models as a foundation and build verticals for niche. You can't use the big models as a go-to for everything. You need to build your verticals for each action or task you want to do. So here's a demo, just a short demo, a conversation between Maya and the person, and how Maya helps you improve.
Hey Maya, I'm not going to be able to make it to the gym today. I have to stay late at work for an important project deadline.
No problem, Sarah. Work priorities come first sometimes, but we don't want to skip your workout entirely. Since you're stuck at home, how about I put together a quick full-body routine you can do without any equipment?
That would be great. I'd really appreciate an at-home workout plan.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second while I analyze your recent gym sessions and create an optimal routine tailored for your environment. Okay, I've got it. For today, I've designed a 35-minute bodyweight circuit combining strength and cardio intervals. It has 5 rounds hitting all the major muscle groups: squats, push-ups, planks, jumping jacks, and other creative bodyweight exercises. The intervals will keep your heart rate elevated, while the resistance moves will help maintain your strength and muscle endurance. And of course, it requires 0 equipment.
This looks perfect. Love that it's fast, but still hits everything. The body...
Oh, sorry. You understand the concept. It's quite easy to understand, but this is really impactful. You can do that. Without AI, almost impossible to do. Like you need to predict a lot, to have lots of data source. Now you need to train your models on specific needs. And this model is trained on someone who wants to train for a marathon. So I think for brands and marketing and everything, I think this is a new infrastructure and foundation that's changing everything. No one can ignore that. I don't think companies see it as how that will have a huge impact on, let's say, your future innovation, your product, your service. I think everything you as a brand or company has on your table as a plan, I think you need to rethink it and implement AI as an infrastructure. AI as a brand driver, not as an add-on, because that's coming, and it's coming really, really fast. The interest is high in the market. You can't stop it. It's too late to stop things like this, and the investment is high in the market. So me and my colleague have developed, first of all, lots of companies ask us, how do we work with it? It's quite hard to navigate the industry and know where to bet, because it's quite a big risk to jump into AI. Both cost-wise, you could jeopardize your brand, customer relationship, everything. How do you navigate? Where to start? How do you see if it's biased or not? So we developed a framework, we call it AA framework. It's basically a framework that helps you navigate AI and how to build services, product, marketing, everything with AI. It's available online. We publish it freely for everyone to use under Creative Commons. It's aithinking.se. You can just download. It's basically a framework that's help you navigate how to develop things that I've showed you and how to de-risk and put your investment on the right thing and measure. Because you can just run with AI, as it's quite difficult. So this is online. Basically, it's four documents, four playbooks that first explain the framework, how to use it in your organization, how to navigate, what to think about, what to do. And we always update with new information, new data, because this is changing. And that will be maybe a good start for you to navigate this industry. Yeah, this is a typical QR code. Everyone wants that. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oday, for a very nice presentation. Some questions. What would you say are some emerging AI technologies or trends that you believe will have a significant impact on the future of brand and marketing, if we say in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think content creation. It's like I started with I think stable diffusion models and so on. I worked with the first version, and I see the impact what it's doing now. I'm beta testing a lot of different models and content. We're talking about movies, films, real time. It's so scary, the quality. It's improving every day. And just to give it in perspective, why we don't have the best quality yet, it's not because we don't have the knowledge, it's the compute power. We don't have that. That's the
hurdle.
The hurdle for take. So I think we will come there. So that's no question about it. I think content creation, real-time content, hyper-personalized content. I don't think we will see, or my children will see, one app fits them all. I think we will have one in every service. That's what I believe in, because that's what we are. I've been working in this. I've been dreaming of building one-to-one in everything, and now you can do that.
And then you touch a bit on the obstacles and challenges as well. And now, what would you say are the most significant obstacles and challenges that companies face as they move from tactical deployment to strategic integration of AI?
Yeah, depending on who we talk to, but basically every company is built by organization structure, and the top structure doesn't understand this impact. They don't maybe willing to take that bet or invest their risk. I think the whole R&D should change the perspective and look at AI. I run into lots of organization problem regarding getting AI as an infrastructure in the company, in the brand. They don't see it, they see it as an add-on. I don't think to buy a ChatGPT account for your employee is a solution. That's not a solution. That's basically you're late in the game. I think to be good company in the AI era, you need to understand where the foundation models innovation ends, and there your brand start innovate. Not using foundation model. You're too late in the game. So don't be in that. Try to understand where the foundation model ends and innovate from there and forward. That's my tip for the organization.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll continue the discussion in the panel. Thank you so much again, Uday.
Thank you.
So I would now like to welcome our final speaker before our panel discussion here today, Anders Thunman. Anders is co-founder of a startup in AI space and senior advisor to Ernst & Young, EY. Anders is a curious humanist at heart, which led him to work at the intersection of customer centricity, marketing, and product management. He has played various leading roles in Volvo Cars' turnaround and transformation journeys and led the digital transformation of MGM Resorts in Las Vegas as their chief product officer. Anders' presentation is titled, "When is Marketing Excellent No Longer Excellent?" In his presentation, Anders will take us through a practical and implemented use case of AI arriving in an ethical question of artificial intelligence. So a warm welcome to Anders.
Thank you, Emma. Some really good speeches and good content and almost no oxygen in the room. So I will keep this intense to keep everybody awake. So on my way here this morning, I was checking out and playing around a little bit with OpenAI's recently released GPT 4.0 or 4.0. It really is spectacular. I encourage everybody to try it. However, a couple of days ago, I also read that the two leading individuals of the super alignment team at OpenAI, the team that was supposed to prevent AI from wiping out humanity, had left the company, and that the super alignment team is dissolved. So I think it's fair to say that events like this and seminars like this and the conversations and the actions that come out of them are more important than ever, and I'm super happy to be here for that reason. So my name is Anders, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you from a practitioner's point of view on why I think that we're sort of approaching a point fairly soon where marketing excellence might no longer be excellent for humanity. And why this should be taken seriously. And my goal is really to inspire and encourage all the smart brains in this room and online to think hard about this, because AI is a technology. It's not a miracle. It's a technology, and therefore it has upsides and it has downsides. And it's like really deep and thoughtful decisions and our actions that decide ultimately what side of that line we end up on. So that's my goal here today. And we're in this right now. We're in exponential times. So things are moving so quickly that it's almost impossible to make an accurate prediction of where things will end up. So I won't spend any time on that. But I put together a hypothesis of some, I would say, like fairly short-term trends that I think have a reasonable chance of survival over the next 12 to 18 months. And those are the significant trends. So the first one is really about the fact that we will see an orders of magnitude enhancement in the human-like interaction and intelligence of products and services over the next couple of quarters. Anybody in this room and outside of this room can easily stand up an AI experience today on top of OpenAI models or Google's models, Gemini models, or Meta models, or the open source models, whatever. Like, there's plenty of AI tools to play with today that are extremely capable. Further, you have Apple that will most certainly release a bunch of very sophisticated AI features in their upcoming iOS release that comes this fall. Google just announced this last week for the Android platform. What this really all means is that you will have a massive up-leveling in AI capability, touching billions of people 2 to 3 quarters away. And that is very significant. The second point that I want to sort of convey here is the growing context. This is a somewhat technical term, and I won't rabbit hole there. But just think about it as an AI model, like context for an AI model is its ability to not only ingest the problem you wanted to solve, but also bring on board your preferences, your taste, and your sort of desired outcomes, so that it can solve the problem in a way that aligns with your desired goals. And this is really important because it leads to point 3, which is the rise of agents. And the example that Uday just showed you is a perfect example of an agent in the fitness space. So if you combine significantly more capable models with an ability to adapt around you on a one-to-one basis, you get to a point where you can scale up agents. And I've been thinking quite a lot about what this means for the space of marketing, and there's also a lot of other people thinking about this potentially could mean for marketing. And it seems that the most sort of smart money right now is on this idea that we're effectively heading towards a point where the consumer AI agent will be as capable, if not more capable, than the CMO's marketing AI. And I think this takes us to a very interesting point, where it is most likely that within a couple of quarters, it will be increasingly harder for CMOs to brute force sales. They won't be able to just drive money through the performance marketing machine to generate sales. And most CMOs I worked with in my life, and there are many, are always very proud of their brand campaigns, because and Forsman & Bodenfors actually became a world-renowned agency because of their ability to create really interesting stories around products and brands. And CMOs will be very proud of the brand campaigns, but the reality is that 50 to 60% of marketing spend in the Western world is still heading towards very tactical sales activities. And this is going to get disrupted. And I think it's significant because it means the companies will for sure no longer be able to take the shortcut to sales. They will have to tell stories that people are actually interested in listening to, and they will have to provide experiences that are worth experiencing. So there's no shortcuts going forward, which will make life more interesting but also more difficult. So speaking of experiences, this used to be my office. In the back of the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas, you have the executive leadership offices for MGM Resorts, which is the world's second largest operator of what is the travel industry calls integrated resorts. For those of you who have not been to Vegas, these are 5,000 plus room huge hotels that offer a wide range of culinary experiences. They offer a wide variety of shows, ranging from the classical Vegas show all the way to super curated, very intimate 2,000 seats type of jazz shows with Lady Gaga, to concerts. And they also offer access to top-tier sports events across the most popular sports in the world, and there's also casino gaming. So effectively, MGM cuts across 5 travel verticals. And it's a massive scale business. More than 20 million people, guests, came to our resorts each year, and they were served by 85,000 employees, doing their best to orchestrate an amazing experience 24/7, 365 days per year. It's a pretty sizable business too, with a market cap of that's like 30% higher than Volvo Cars, which is a fairly known quantity here in this town. And our mission was simple: entertain the human race. Very clear. So if you now have this amazing universe of super exciting experiences that you can offer to customers, this should be really easy, right? No. Turns out that if you have a wealth of experiences, as great as they are, and you just dump them onto a human being, instead of joy and happiness and excitement, you're facing this, a massive blank page problem. How do we spend our like 3-day girls' weekend out in the best possible way? How do I find a suitable, quiet business restaurant for a business dinner during CS that is also close to 2 other activities? Very hard. How do I get from point A to point B on the strip on a Saturday evening when it's really busy? Well, let's take an Uber. Well, that takes an hour and a half during rush hour traffic, even though it's like 3 miles of a desert strip. Well, let's walk instead. Well, it's 45 degrees outside, so maybe not, and especially not in high heels. And so on and so on. The pros, however, still outweigh the cons, which is, and this is a little bit helped by alcohol, which is why people come back to Vegas over and over again. But does it really have to be this broken? I think that was like the question that stood out to us. So the answer is no. The way the industry has solved this for 50 years with their V1 solution is to employ human hosts. Human hosts that have exceptional people skills, that are great listeners and really good at picking up the vibe, what your intent is with the particular trip, what your taste is, what your preferences are, who you're coming with, what's actually going in Vegas that might interest you. And they're able to curate the perfect stay for you each time. So you always leave with a very memorable experience. And they do this on a one-to-one basis. And they're really, really good at marketing and selling MGM in Vegas to customers with extremely high loyalty and really good revenue. And this is the one-to-one scenario that I just described. So and in fact, they're doing such a good job that they're like even internet YouTubers that are documenting this whole phenomenon. So like you can make a living of that too. Now, so what's the catch? The catch is that the economic model behind the human hosts only allows MGM to provide this elevated experience for the 3 to 5 top % of the customers, leaving 95% stranded to Google, OpenTable, Yelp, and other services, which work really good in other cities, but break down when you're in a very, very special city like Vegas, where you have this extreme density of experiences over this 5-mile strip in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. And therefore, the experience is less than amazing for those 95%. So when my team and I learned about this huge gap in customer experience between the have hosts and have not hosts, it felt intuitively right to fix this. So we decided to venture off on a mission. And our mission became, let's democratize curation and hosting for the other 95% of our customers through a digital experience. And we were really excited. We saw this opportunity to provide a much, much better service, have them leave with much better memories. This would most likely lead to much better revenues. Much happier customers will come back to us more often, leading to even more revenues. So this was just like win, win, win. So we're super excited. We got the leadership team on board. We ventured off and kicked off and immediately hit a brick wall. And the brick wall was data quality. So I cannot stress this enough. If you want to do something practical when it comes to AI or advanced machine learning, there are no shortcuts to data quality. Like if you have a super advanced AI model and you pump it with poor quality data, you will get much worse outcomes than if you have a much lesser AI model filled with high quality data. There are no shortcuts. Trust me, I've tried, and so many others, and we've all failed. So unfortunately, you can't do anything about this. And this is a hard pill to swallow for many organizations, because our intuition is to focus on where the value is created. And the value is created where you take the AI and the model and you combine it with the rest of the business, and that creates a better healthcare or better marketing machine, or it creates more curation. That's where the value is at. So nobody really wants to spend a lot of time on the data side. And this is, I think, the trap that teams tend to fall over and over again, because the harsh reality is that an amazing AI model sitting on top of low-quality data is pretty much worthless to any organization, where there's a 2-people startup or an 85,000 behemoth like MGM. So 2.5 fairly boring years later, and tens of millions of dollars, we had a V1 of our customer data platform that sort of connected these 5 different verticals and allowed us to understand a much richer context around our customers. And we could use this context for machine learning, for AI, our first initial stepping stones. We could surface suggestions of what to do in Vegas through our trips experience that we had just launched, and in our app, and things were looking great. So this was like the trajectory of our app. It started off as being useless, so nobody used it. Then we added a couple of meaningful features that really started to pick up adoption of the app. And then we started to inspire people and help them to like figure out how to best spend their time. And we need to run some very like careful experiments to make sure that this actually worked. And it did pick up. And you know, eventually, like I just wrote OpenAI here because it's sort of a model that everybody understands, but they started to layer in more and more sophisticated models. And the thing is that this works. Customer satisfaction is up, retention is up, direct revenue is up, margins are up, bonuses are up. Everybody's happy. In fact, MGM's marketing machine is firing on all cylinders right now. They had their record quarter ever last quarter. So things are looking great, right? The journey to awesomeness. Well, so here's the crux. The problem with with large language models combined with humanity is that we humans, we genuinely want to build relationships. And we build relationships through communication. And if that communication is established by language, we build sort of much more robust relationships, and we over-index on the depth of the relationship. This is why some dog owners will argue that their dogs speak to them. This is why some car owners will speak to their cars. And this is also why generative AI, as amazing as it is also highly toxic if it's used in the wrong way and at a massive scale. It can be used at one-to-one scale. And this is the crux. So this is why there's plenty of research reports showing people building relationships with GPTs. They're building even love relationships with GPTs. And this will continue if we sort of are not thoughtful about this. So this leads us to some couple of hard questions, and I'm running out of time, but I will try to accelerate. So a couple of hard questions. So the first hard question is, what happens when every company gets their data platform together? What happens when every company is able to build a very rich context around the user? What happens when that particular context can be leveraged by an AI to not only curate a great stay, which is fantastic and sort of value building, but also becomes potentially manipulative or even addictive? I think we're very close to this point where the power of these models will be able to provide marketeers with these type of tools. This is not a 10-year-out risk, for sure. We can debate whether it's like 2 quarters out, 3 quarters out, but it's like quarters, it's not years. And I think this brings us to a point, an ethical point for marketeers. The mission for marketing has always been more. Understand our customers more deeply. Develop more thoughtful, creative, emotional content. Come up with more interesting ways to tell a story. Convert more, sell more, retain more. It's always been very simple. And I think we're heading now to a point where we have to start asking us some harder questions. We talked during lunch here that marketeers, CMOs should probably start thinking about hiring anthropologists. And maybe they should also start thinking about hiring philosophers more than performance marketeers, because we're coming to a point where I would suggest that we need to start to rethink the idea of more. I am a pragmatic person, so I put up reasonable here. My point of this presentation, though, is not for me to tell you what that word should be. What I'm trying to achieve here is for all of you to go home and think about what word would you put in there that would sort of lead to the world that you would be proud to tell your grandkids about. And I think that's the point we're at when it comes to marketing AI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anders. Very nice case or example that you showed here. Would you say that you actually came to the point where you would even regret building out the curated hosted experience, or what's your reasoning around that?
No, because like the experience was so broken, and you could definitely make it much better. And I think it's still there. Like they haven't got to a point where you can say that it's like toxic. But yes, like if you start to continue to layer on capabilities, which they now have the context for, and when you start to like tap into that one-to-one understanding, I think the reality is that the team at MGM will come to a point where they have to ask themselves that question. It's like, where should we stop? It's not there yet, but and I think what we've done so far is something we can be proud of. It helps people to have more fun, which is amazing. That's what I loved about that industry. But at the end of the day, I think we're reaching to approaching a point where there might be some kind of enough level.
And what would you say are your main concerns about the future development of AI in the context of marketing?
Yeah, so that's a big question, and there's a whole long array of people, talking about how AI can wipe us out in different ways, and I'll leave that. I think in the shorter term, my main concern is that we now see a sort of a disconnect where the exceptional empathetical capability of GPT-4o, like it can be quite creative, it can be warm, it can take on different personas, it can be very empathetic, that this sort of the UI layer of AI is becoming very quickly extremely sophisticated, but the underlying intelligence is actually not quite there, which sets us up for one, massive manipulation, which is not awesome, which is why people are worried about elections and what have you, and two, it also, I think, will quickly put us in a position where people might start to what Anders was talking about, people will start to over-index on what the AI is telling us because it sounds so credible and it seems to understand us so well. And those are, I think, two sort of much more near-term traps where, if the current GPT-4o model, which is fantastic, has a 65% accuracy, you still don't want it to be a doctor, or you don't want it to invest your money for you, right? Because that feels like a pretty low accuracy. But it sounds very credible, and it will be sounding even more amazing 6 months from now.
Thank you so much again, and please stay here. So I would now like to welcome all the speakers up here to the stage for our panel discussion. And as I mentioned before, both you that are here in the room and you attending online, you can ask your questions and raise comments on Menti. So please go into menti.com. Now I will see if we can just change the slide again. I think online you can see the Menti code in the chat, and you here in the room, we have it on the boards, and the number is 43465738, and there you can raise your questions. And my colleague, Johan Hagberg, he is monitoring questions. And I know that maybe Sven-Olof would be interested in raising a question or two as well. So if you don't mind, I think maybe we will start there. Either Sven-Olof or Johan, I leave the word to you.
It's not easy after this beautiful presentation to come up with something, but I think that what I think
Is the sound on?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. What is going through here is about you coming closer and closer and closer to human. What is the human needs, and how can we convey something out of these systems or model or whatever that will benefit? And I think this is a key question to us all who want to take advantage of the possibilities in artificial intelligence to create something which is better for the body. And of course, individual, one-to-one is interesting, but who is left behind in this? What is good for most people? I think that's an important issue to continue discussion. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for that comment. That was no question, but a very, very important comment. But maybe it's a comment that someone would like to respond to. No?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think so. There's this. Unfortunately, I'm blanking on the name, but there's a computational biologist at MIT that does a lot of interesting work. And in his sort of essential entire philosophy of his research is that we're all unique, which further complicates this matter. And he would argue that, yes, you have like normal distribution in terms of like length, weight, like, in whatever, intelligence, like whatever. Like you can look at the single dimension of a human being and say, like, here's the normal distribution of the population. But if you look at the aggregate of what a human being is, we're all unique. We're just like the end point of a long string of DNA over all the generations. And I think this brings an interesting dilemma, because you're raising an important point, Sven-Olof, which is like what's good for most of humanity, and at the same time, this technology allows us to touch one-to-one. So how do you marry these 2 points, and how do you and what does that mean in terms of like leaving the people behind, or what tension or in society do you create by saying, okay, this is best for most, but in reality you will still have a bunch of people that still not sign up for it. And so I think the point you bring up is extremely important, and it's a difficult one to solve for, because you sort of have now the capability to do one-to-one, but in reality we still want society to work as a whole. And I think that's where you see some of the fragmentation that social media is causing, is sort of just like a little hint of where things could go if you misuse AI.
Yeah. Just to add to that, I think all of us in this room, what we have been using is mostly LLMs, language models. That's one small part of the AI. There is a development in agriculture and how to farming, helping farming, models that trained on farming perspective and how to improve that, like crops in Africa or in cold weather, or so change the whole environment in the world. That's one AI. So there's lots of perspective in AI. I think most of us has to run to LLM, and that's just 1%, maybe, not less. So I think.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
We're talking quite a lot about one-to-one, but there are things going on that might be 1 to millions. And the question for you is, will the carbon-based life, Taylor Swift, for instance, could she be would we like her if she was an avatar? How important is the creator of mostly creative stuff like music and films and books?
Yeah. And your name is Jonas Enghagen. You're
Yes.
from Forsman and Bodenfors.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Anders wants to have a first go.
Well, I think that's an excellent question, and I think that's the balance between the one-to-one versus the one-to-many. And if we think about what makes brands, the most powerful brands we have in the world, they're not created by one-to-one experiences. They are powerful because we share the myth of what the brand is. And, advertising agencies knows all about this. That is about what the many people believe. Why do many people believe what they believe about Taylor Swift or Apple or Nike and so forth? So these shared experiences, shared myths, and that are culturally. So if we all live in the bubble, the small that don't communicate, brands are going to lose their power. So you have to keep those things in mind at the same time. Build the brand at the myth around the brand that is a shared cultural tribe, if you will. That's not, you can still create the individual experience. There's no, it's not like you do one or the other. You do both at the same time. So that it's more individualized, but also a shared myth that makes it powerful.
Yeah.
I think in relation to influence as Taylor Swift could have an impact. I think we are moving to a new generation that's coming. Taylor Swift, it's not the person will be, there will be more, let's say, a synthetic person in social media or other channels that will be influence you and will give you the impact. But that person will change the behavior depending on who they talk to. And that's interesting. It's already happening today in China, Korea, Japan. Lots of influence that's hyper-personalized, let's say. So I think the next generation, we are not talking about my generation, they will have a synthetic influencer. I think so.
Yeah, and I lived in LA for 4 years and still have a lot of friends back there. It's the question you're raising is on everybody's mind there, and I don't think anybody has a clear answer. I think we would love to say that the artist and the creative matters, and I think there will be like I'm wearing a watch that I need to wind up. 90% of the days I forgot to wind it up. Is not there because I need it for timekeeping. So there are these analogies that you can make that, well, like we still honor the craft and we honor the ideas and all that stuff, but in reality, when you think about like what will streaming music and like what will Spotify become in the future, will Spotify actually pay license fees to artists, or will they just render music in real time depending on your taste? And I think that's a big unknown in the creative industry. The romantic side of me would say, yes, we would still honor art, and I really hope that we will. But in terms of the sort of more mass commercial, I'm not sure. Like it might go towards AI generation.
Yeah.
Will it be spectacular? I don't know.
Just a side note regarding influence. My daughter, I want to influence her to put the helmet on when she rides scooter. She doesn't listen to me. So I made a song, a rap song in Swedish, in Suno, and showed her, I have it here, you can hear it later, about it's not cool to not wear a helmet and ride the scooter in Swedish. So I put it on through her friends and said, if you don't put your helmet on, I will publish it socially. That's the impact. So now she always wears the helmet because I had the song in my pocket. It's about her name, everything. Really good.
We run the extortion operation model.
So I mean, that's
smart.
Really.
Yeah. We'll have to listen to that in the coffee break. Okay, thank you so much. Johan, do we have any questions?
Yes, we'll start with one specific question to Mirja concerning the second case there with the campaign. And what competences did the team members of the AI campaign have? And maybe that could be turned into a general question about the team compositions when it comes to...
Yeah, they had competence regarding programming and... like we build this AI, we build like, okay, I'm not into this, so it will be really, but it was to connect our back office, our servers and our programs together with the AI tools. And yeah, so we didn't build anything our own. We used the tools that were out there, but we integrated them in our systems. So it was like, just coding. Yeah.
And what do you think more generally when it comes to competences and like those teams?
Yeah, but of course, now in this experiment we wanted to dehumanize the process. So we wanted to. So of course we were really eager. Even the IT department wanted to interact and to help the AI to guide it. But now we decided not to do that. So and that led us to. Yeah, we started the process with trying to do a Christmas campaign with the image programs and stuff. It was really horrible, And there we really got to discuss, could you really push this out? Because it was, I looked at your images and you said it was great. It was terrible for us, with all these like Christmas bulbs and really Americanized, terrible. We really tried to like train it to do something a little more. But it didn't work. So I would say that you really, even though we would put it on we really need human eyes to it still. And I think in the future we will really use these tools, but with the help of human guidance, or help the digital guide for the human. So I don't know. It will be a mix of competencies, but I don't ever think we will have a marketing department that don't know these tools. I don't think so.
Any other reflections from anyone else on this kind of question? We move on to the next one. Yeah, maybe in a next question then.
Yeah. Specific question to Anders Bengtsson, and it's around like that AI generates. But what is the position, like AI's position to generate better questions, basically?
That's a great question. Can you actually have AI to help you ask the questions? And yes. One of the things we are looking at is like you have multiple versions of a question, because we all know that the way we ask the question is how you get answers. And so what is a better question to ask? So that's something that AI can help us, and you can basically run multiple versions of questions and then let AI decide which is a better question that generates better answers to your research question, and what you eventually, your business outcome, what you're looking for, what kind of answers do you need to have, and what kind of questions. So you sort of reverse engineer what kind of question to ask. Excellent question.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can take a next one if there are more.
One specific also to Uday. It's and it's very specific to the example you show. Are you selling the personal coach as an app, or is it on App Store and with?
No, we're not selling it. It's a project done with I can't say the client, but it's a service that we're building.
Okay.
So it will be. I think this is what you see. This will be the thing. We don't have so much time. When we release it, the competitor will already be there also. So you have like 1 to 2 days with this technology. It's because it's open source. It's free for everyone to use. So it's you can't have an IP anymore with those technologies. So that's why we can talk about it, and we're already in progress to building that.
So another follow-up question on that. So the question is, can AI husband help my husband to be the perfect one, and vice versa?
Yes, yes, you can do that. I think so, but depending on how much data you can provide it, like give access to your social media accounts, Facebook, for instance, and let's say I run through your history and so on, and I think you can have like a synthetic man or husband. That's better to talk to, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this one is more general. Let me see. Do you leave? Sorry. So to all speakers, do you think your job will be replaced by AI in the future? Yes or no, and why?
Yeah, I can start.
Please go ahead.
I think most jobs will be replaced and will be renewed to something new. If you see history, go back, evolution, most jobs will be changed. I think I have like maybe, I need at least 15 years until I get my pension. Like, but hopefully I survive. But I don't think so. I think I need to find a new skill or something.
Yeah, the jobs will be transformed in many ways. I think that's where it is. I think this fear that sort of we won't find new jobs. I think that's probably overblown. That's been throughout history. That's been the case, that we find new ways of making use of what we have. Increased productivity. We will work less. So everyone who's gonna, you're gonna have more vacation, more time off, but you're gonna work differently and have different jobs. I think that's the long-term thing. If we survive that long, I mean, that's the other. So the question here that comes to sort of where this is going, because there's a dark side to all of this, where it can be manipulative. We can be sort of completely disintegrated in terms of the information we have. Think about how you pay attention. You still probably pay attention to what's going on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever you sort of tune into. And you do that because it's powerful, because it's social media. We still call it social media, but increasingly it's actually AI media. We just, when you post something on LinkedIn, it says, oh, use AI to rewrite it. So for how long are we going to pay attention to what's actually put out there? That's the fear that I think, and academics, you publish articles. Well, were they really written by academics, or how much of the literature review was done by AI? And then there's like, so how much are we paying attention to the vast volume of stuff that is out there? And if everything is just AI, when do we sort of stop paying attention to it? So I think there's a lot of things that are in this that is the unknown that you were talking about, where this is going, that I think, and it's quarters out, it's not years out, before we start to see like the really dark side of this, where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, like, there was an interview with Google CEO Sundar Pichai by Nilay Patel, who runs the Verge podcast, 2 days ago, I think. And like one of the big questions is like, what's the future of search? And like, will it really exist to this exact point? Like, because if we if the majority of the content out there suddenly is just synthetic content, then what's the point of searching? Sundar had a very polished reply to all of that, but I think the question is still out, just like it's a big question mark over like what's the future of Hollywood and the music industry, and like maybe art less, because art is a very specific category, but like the commercial art, that is the movie industry and the music industry. I think a lot of question marks around how this will actually evolve.
And then I think the main question too, I think, is anytime we have a technology that helps us do something, we become less good at the thing we used to do manually before. So look at kids' handwriting these days. All right? Soon we are not going to be able to write. But if AI is also replacing our intelligence, what happens then? If you were talking about how awesome it is to have the AI at your fingertips, well, we don't need intelligence. We don't need to be human intelligent because we have AI. We can just be dumbos.
You will have an app store, AI app store, and Neuralink, Elon Musk, and you just upgrade your intelligence. that's how it is.
Yeah. But also why we are this mind blown by the new technology and the updates is also because it mimics the human brain still. It's trained on humans. What happens when it has been training on itself for a couple of rounds? Are it's going to be as interesting? Still, it's like the human base and the human knowledge that is going into it. So, yeah.
Do we have any other question from the?
Would you like to take one before, or?
Yeah, I wanted to. I think we're touching upon it already, and you're addressing it now also. But I wanted to get back sort of to challenges, risks, ethical concerns, and so on. Is there anything else that you're thinking of that we haven't touched upon already?
There are big challenges.
Yeah.
But I think there is a player in the market that's investing a lot to solve that. It will be solved because that's their interest to solve that. And you can say, is it them that need to solve it, or is it someone else?
Yeah.
But I think lots of risk will be solved through time. I'm not worried about that. I'm most worried about the economic impact it will have on society. If jobs will be moved,
Right.
or will my children work with something relevant as today? I don't know. That's the risk, society-wise.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at EU and Swedish government, it's really scary how they don't see it this way. So that's my perspective.
Thank you. Any other reflections on this? Otherwise,
No.
No. So otherwise, I think we can take another question if we have. Yeah. Yeah, Jonas.
I know that I'm entering seriously thin ice now, but as I understand it, AI is trained on stuff that already exists. So what will happen with the mind-blowing ideas, the stuff that no one saw coming? In which way will AI be able to come up with stuff like that? I think you see what I'm getting at.
Anders and then Nore.
Well, so that's where, going back to my presentation and my argument for why, in my business, market research, why that's important is that we still need humans into this. If you don't feed human ideas into the universe, you're going to dry up of ideas eventually. We're going to, use the pool that is there of available data. So if we don't feed new data into the model from humans, because humans have the creativity, the new things that you can imagine. So that's the business I'm in. I'm working with brands and advertising agencies and feed ideas, stories from people. And what we use AI is to help gather those stories and bring many of them. And so you have lots of materials to bring with. So that's why I think that the whole idea of just using synthetic data and sort of just use existing, it's going to run its course, and then the best brands or the ones, they're going to have the money to pay for and say, we're going to go out and collect our own better data. So in some ways, what's happening now is that insights in my industry is being democratized. So companies that don't have as much budget, they can still, get a base level that is much higher than they could before. But then in order to go further and better and really become the next thing that everyone latches onto, is going to require more. So it sort of raises the level for everyone, but then you still need to go out and talk to humans. Then you're going to be needed until or unless AI gets so smart and sentient in the sense that it can start to replicate the human and be that creative force that we are. Because humans itself, we are, the reason we are all here in this capacity being, is because of our cognitive revolution and how we became, we believe in symbols, we understand what it means to just tell stories and believe in them and gather the masses. That's what we do as humans, because this is the field that my research area is in consumer culture theory, that symbols, we as humans have the power to believe in symbols. We believe in made-up stuff. That's what distinguishes us from the rest of the world. So we are in that business. Marketers, we make up stuff that that can be something real, but there's a lot of made-up stuff that we just say, this is what it is. When you wear Nike, you're a better athlete. Yeah, I believe in that. And so that's a power, and that's a distinctive feature of humans. Never forget that. That's why we are here where we are. That's why marketing exists.
Ode?
Just to reflect on that, you said it's trained on knowledge, lots of knowledge. And how are we trained human? We are also trained on knowledge. We learn from the history, we learn from stuff before, and we innovate, we iterate, we improve that. Maybe sometimes we make a breakthrough. The thing is, with those models, it's increases 1,000 times, and it's free. That's it. So I have like 1,000 in creative working with me. That's more than just me alone. And I could have a different perspective, different knowledge, different domain knowledge, and that will increase. So I don't think it's the same thing, but now it's a superpower. So I think it's no difference. Just now it's like, I think everyone will have that superpower with them. And ideas is free, but execution and take next step is harder. And I think that's AI will help you at least.
Okay, so we are coming to an end soon, but I would like to end with a more sort of optimistic question. So if we look forward, what excites you most about the development in terms of AI in marketing going forward, and what possibilities do you see? And this is a question for all of you, so anyone could start.
Well, okay, I'm not an AI expert and I'm not a marketing expert, but listening to all of you and I feel already manipulated as a human being, even before AI. So I don't know, we are already in it, I would say. So that's what you said. It was marketing is about, and I'm ready to be more manipulated. It's just no, and also like a reflection on the arts. And I say if everyone is boosted with this superpower, if that would be the case, the superpower of knowledge, then that's why art will be more important. That is not knowledge. That is something else. That is So that I think it will be blooming for the art industry, hopefully. Yeah, and that will be more important. Something else, something not tangible, not based on data. Yeah. So,
Great. Yeah, Uday?
I think from my side, the positive I see, I think I've been through 3 evolutions, and this is the 3rd one in one lifetime. It's never been done before as a humanity. And to experience that, both the impact it will have and change, I think that's so exciting. So it's so positive. I don't see the negative. I just see it's something is happening really positive for us as a human species. So.
Nice. Anders?
Well, I wish I could be more optimistic. Because remember when people talked about, the World Wide Web is going to democratize access to information, and we're going to have, everyone is going to live in a democracy because we're going to have all these shared beliefs about it. All right, so we know all of what happened with that. So I think let's don't be naive and think that this is going to be the most perfect, wonderful world with this. We have humans have, some real problems to deal with in terms of, or humanity, I would say, in terms of our insatiable desires for having stuff, consuming stuff, desires. And how do we deal with those? We are over-consuming, we're using resources to a way that is not sustainable. We all know that, but we are incapable of changing that. And so that's a real challenge to, our very existence, to continue here, to live on this planet. And so we are unable to stop them. AI won't help us to stop this sort of appetite. We live in a consumer culture where we desire things just because, I'm going to be cooler if I have your shoes, actually. I'm going to go out and buy those. I think they're really good. So we're always like that. And we continue and we buy and we buy. You talked a lot about more. There's this element of, in a capitalist society, we want more stuff, more money, more everything. And the question is, how long can we live in that more, and more? And I'll just leave this. If we look at the population growth, we're going to peak at 10 billion people on the planet. Do you know what happens with the curve after the 10 billion? It doesn't go like this. It goes like this. In 150 years, so when a society reaches 2.0 or goes below 2.0 in reproduction, no advanced society or no society that is advancing is ever getting up above again. So it's going to go quickly out. We're going to reduce. It's not going to happen in our lifetime, but when we look out, what is likely to happen? So we have to put things into perspective and start thinking about what are we doing and how can AI help us start changing things for the future. That would be the most positive thing that AI could do for us, or what we can do with AI.
Yeah. So I'll leave the final word. Short comment by Anders.
Sure. So my wife is the responsible person in our house, and so she's a doctor, and therefore I'm very inclined to think about all the opportunities that come in healthcare and how we maybe can live until that moment. Who knows? But I mean, I think the reality is like there's it's a technology, and we have to be very thoughtful about how we use it, because we can do amazing things with it, and it can go really bad. And I think some of the amazing things could be like progress in healthcare, etc. For sure. Going to radically change cancer treatment and such. But I think you have to be, like, to your point, be very nuanced and critical thinking around absorbing information and how we actually deploy it and where we and how we use it. I think there's a huge opportunity to have like this personal agent that can be your friend and can help you navigate all the parts of your life that you're maybe not that interested in, like your pension plans, unless you belong to the 2% of the population that are like really into pension plans. But so it's like there's obviously that glass is half full, but you can easily also imagine like how this can easily get manipulated in other directions. And if we like, to your point, if you like outsource too much of that intelligence, it's hard to claim it back. And you can actually see this with pilots, because the autopilot systems in airplanes are today so sophisticated that airline pilots fly very little minutes per flight. So when the shit hits the fan and something happens, they actually have a hard time taking over control because they're not just used to flying anymore, which has sort of forced the airline industry to sort of rethink about how much time the actually pilot spends flying. And ultimately, we want this thing to work for us, for humanity. We want to create a better world, not be slaves to it or not like destroy ourselves. So I think that's the strive towards good outcomes.
Thank you. So thank you so much to the panel. Very nice discussion. So we're going to wrap up this very inspiring and I think thought-provoking seminar. As a token of appreciation to the wonderful speakers that have shared insights and inspiration here today, we would like to hand over a book. This is a jubileum book and an anthology titled Towards a Sustainable World. It's edited by researchers at the school, and it's created in relation to the celebration of the school's centenary last year. So I would also like to express a big thank you to the ones who made this seminar possible, the foundation and the school. And also my colleagues, Marie, Ines, Ben, Johan, Henrik, and Ola. I would also like to thank all of you in the audience, both here in person and online, for attending. I hope you have found it inspiring and rewarding. The recording will be available on the school's website in a few days. And we would now like to invite all of you participants here to have coffee together and continue the discussion on these topics outside of the seminar room. So thank you again for coming, and thank you again to the speakers.